This is a epoxy bench, actually my very first epoxy bench I made back in January. I ended up using a tabletop epoxy, so if you look right there, see the different layers in there from where I poured it about an eighth inch at a time. Anyway, it's got a few divots on there. I never really got a chance to really make the top of it shine. Um, had a few issues with it. That leg right there is kind of loose, and I don't know. After I got it made, I just kind of hurry up and put it in our room where it was going to be, and never really got a chance to get back around to it. So I ordered some inserts, threaded inserts, for the legs, just to kind of make those a little bit sturdier, and I'm going to make the top shiny without sanding. So I'm going to use epoxy instead of sanding this, up to like, I don't know, 400 grit or something like that, making my way through it. I'm just going to use epoxy. So here I'm using 240 grit. Not really trying to make it shiny or anything like that, just scuffing it up so the epoxy actually bonds to it, gets a good mechanical bond. Without this, you'd have all types of issues or possibly have issues. So I got to scuff all the sides real good. The top of it, got that real good. I'm going to put some tape around the perimeter so that I can pour the epoxy on top and not have it just run all over the edges. I kind of give it about 20-25 minutes and then I'll pull the tape off. This right here is 91% isopropyl alcohol that I sprayed on top just to wipe all the dust off after I blew it with the compressed air. And this is 1-to-1 ratio. This is it's a tabletop epoxy, liquid glass. That's the epoxy. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. Their deep pour is a 2-to-1 ratio. But like I said, I'm just gonna do like a quick flood coat on this, so it's gonna be nothing too thick. Maybe like 1/8 of an inch, if that. Just enough to get rid of the divots, give it a little bit of shine, and pretty much make me happy. So you can already see in the middle there how the difference is between the middle and the edges. I mean, even though I did sand it, so it's a little bit more cloudy, but you can already see the difference. So like I said, I'll leave this up here for about 25 minutes. Take the tape off, let it run around the edges, and then I'll smooth it all out and pretty much wait for the next day until I can start messing around with it again. So this is about a week later. I got busy, stuck at work doing stuff, stuck doing stuff around the house. Anyway, I am putting the threaded inserts in for the screws so that, I mean, we plan on moving, so it just makes it easier and more reliable if you can just take the screws out whenever. You don't have to worry about messing up the screw holes or anything like that, or you can't get it back in there. I did have one of the screws when I pulled it out. It snapped the head off of it. I don't even know how that happened, but it did. So those holes over there are bigger than I'd like them. So I'm using epoxy to try to fill them in a little bit. And then, in my head, it made sense to use epoxy to put it in the holes to hold the threaded insert in there, but I forgot they were hollow, so the epoxy just filled the insert. So I ended up having to take some of the epoxy out, and every once in a while I would put one of the screws in there just to make sure everything was hollowed still, and the epoxy wasn't going to keep the screws from going back all the way through the threaded insert. There was a few rot spots underneath. They weren't bad. I was already under here. You see me taking some of that rot out, filling it in with epoxy. I was already, working on the bottom, so I figured why not go ahead and do that. Alright, so the threaded inserts are going in now. One of these didn't quite want to go all the way in. So the threaded insert went in, but once I got the legs on, I think it's going to be on the left-hand side of the screen. One of the screws didn't want to go in, so I ended up having to play with it a little bit off camera. So that's why you'll see that there's only going to be 2 on the left side, which still ended up being stronger than the 3 screws I had in there before. One of the legs just got a little bit of play in it, and I mean, you couldn't really feel it when you sat down, but I knew it was there, and I mean it just kind of bothered me, and I was ready to get this thing over with, go ahead and finish it, and have it a lot sturdier. My kid likes to climb on this to climb on the bed, so I definitely had to make sure it was strong enough to support her. And I mean, I can sit on it and jump on it, and it won't go anywhere. So this is after I finished everything. The legs are back on. Top is finished. You can see this is way glossier than what it was before, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. So I don't think I'll be touching this for a while. So stay tuned for the next build. I'm going to take one of the foldable wooden dinner trays, take the top off, use a maple piece of wood, some colored epoxy, don't know what color yet, and just make a new top for it, put it back on, and kind of go from there. So stay tuned, make sure you like and subscribe this, and I'll see y'all next time.